we are talking about computer programming using Python programming language. By definition, computer is an electronic machine that receives input, processes the input into something meaningful, and gives an output. The print function in Python programming is one of the functions that we can use to give an output. So the print function is an output function that prints out the argument passed to it to a standard output. A standard output can mean a lot of things, but usually by default somewhere on the screen. By default, the print function separates its argument, if many, with a single space in the output. So by default, the print functions will display what is given to it as arguments on the screen by default. And this default behavior can be changed. Another default behavior of the print function is that in the output, the argument, in case the argument are many, the argument are separated with a single space in the output. Let's look at examples. In this example, the print function is called with the argument string high, and the output is high. This time around without quotation mark, because it is not a string representation but an output. And this is example 2, where the print function is called with two arguments. First argument is a string. The value of 3 plus 2 is. It may be tempted to see as if there is space here, but there is no space, please. Even if you think there is space, take it as error. I'm telling you this as the author of the material. So there's no space here. After this is there's no space. It is closing quotation mark. So this is the first argument, and the second argument is an expression 3 plus 2. The computer will automatically evaluate the expression to a value. Okay, as it can be predicted is 5, right? So let's look at the output. The output is the value of 3 plus 2 is 5. The key thing here is that you can see in the output there is space between the two arguments. And let's look at example 3 as it might bring things more clearly. The print function is called with many arguments, 1, 2, 3, and in the output we have all the arguments separated with a single space. Okay, and in example 4 or line 4, the string good morning is assigned to the variable greeting, and the print function is called, passed to it as an argument is greeting. As I said, times without number. Whenever a variable appears where a value is expected, the variable is the value contained in the variable. So what is contained in the greeting variable is good morning. So the print function will print out good morning, as you can see, good morning. Okay. The self keyword argument is used in case we don't like the default behavior of the print functions of separating its argument in the output with a single space. By default, the print function separates in between its arguments with a space. The self keyword optional argument in the print function is used to tell one shall separate the arguments to the print function in the output when the default behavior is not desired. So we don't like the default behavior of separating the arguments passed to the print function with a single space in the output, we use the save keyword argument. This is the first time we are going to look at keyword argument as passed to a function, not even to any function. So it is basically like an assignment statement, but this time around passed to the bracket part of the function. Okay, but in case of assignment statement, you choose the name of your variable. In this case, you can't do that. The name to use as a variable is specified by the function definition, which later we are going to look at how we can define a function. Okay, so let's look at examples. This is example 1, where the print function is called with arguments. The first argument is Na, a chemical symbol for sodium. The second one, magnesium. Third one, calcium. And fourth one, aluminium. All represented using their chemical symbol. You call your chemistry. And the step you can see, can you see the optional keywords argument is passed and assigned to the SEP variable. Take it as variable or keyword argument. Assigned to it is the string representation of the greater sign. Okay, so we are instructing the print function to separate its argument in the output with what is passed or assigned to the SEP keyword arguments. Let's look at it in the output. Can you see the output? Sodium greater than, magnesium greater than, calcium greater than, aluminium. Okay, can you see in the output the arguments are separated using what was passed to the keyword arguments. Okay, and example 2, the print function is called with many arguments. The first one is 10, second one 10 plus 2, third one 12 plus 2, fourth one 14 plus 2, and the keyword argument provided to the keyword argument is the less than sign, string representation of the less than sign. So we are telling the print function or instructing the print functions to separate the argument with this keyword argument, okay, which is less than sign. But then, as any other functions, some of the arguments are expressions, and these expressions will get evaluated as usual. So in the output, we have 10 is less than 12 is less than 14 is less than 16. The key thing here is that in the output, the arguments passed to the print functions are separated with what was provided as keyword argument during the evocation of the print function. And another example, print B, B, C. 3 arguments. The first one is the string B, second one another string B, and the third one is string C. And now the pass to the keyword argument SEP is an empty string. Please take this as an empty string, a pair of quotation mark without any space, with nothing in between the pair. Okay, so in the output we get BBC without space. Note that without providing this optional keyword argument, the output will be B space, then B space, then C. Okay, But by specifying that we don't like any space using the save keyword argument, we get BBC without space in between the argument in the output. So this is example 4, which is the last example, where the print function has a lot of arguments. Okay, the first argument is a string representation of 3 plus 6, then comma, then space. The next argument is string representation of is, then space. And the third argument is expression 3 plus 6. And the fifth argument is string representation of dots. Then the optional keyword argument save provided to it is an empty string, instructing the print function not to put anything in between the arguments in the output. So look at what we have. 3 plus 6 is 9. So thank you, class.